Imagine Nepal. You probably picture, majestic mountains, ancient temples, maybe serenity.
The roof of the world.
Exactly. But just for a second, picture something else entirely, not that postcard, but a nation suddenly engulfed in unexpected, furious chaos.
Yeah, a deep frustration just boiling over.
Right into the streets, forcing a whole government onto its knees.
Quite a shift.
So today we're doing a deep dive into those extraordinary events from early September 2025 in Nepal. We want to unpack how a government clampdown on social media became this spark.
Rather than just annoying people online.
Way more, it ignited a national reckoning, ultimately forcing a prime minister to resign. Our mission for you is to really get the layers here, the discontent, the defiance, and honestly, the huge questions this leaves for Nepal's future.
And to really get it, we need to set the scene properly. Nepal isn't just any country.
Right.
It's home to 30 million people, incredibly rugged terrain, vibrant cultures, and it's uniquely positioned, squeezed between India and China.
A complex spot.
Very. It's beautiful, yes, but also full of these deep contrasts. Tradition, modern ambition, they clash daily. It shapes everything.
And its path to becoming a federal republic. Well, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing, was it?
Not at all. It was a brutal climb. Understanding that history is, I think, essential for grasping what just happened.
Let's dig into that then. Where does this recent chapter really begin?
Well, you could trace it back to the Maoist insurgency.
Yeah.
A decade-long civil war, really brutal, claimed over 17,000 lives before it ended in 2008.
Right.
And that conflict fundamentally reshaped Nepal. It led to the monarchy being abolished, a truly massive shift for the country.
So after all that upheaval, you'd hope for a fresh start. The 2015 Constitution was supposed to be that, wasn't it?
It was. The promise was inclusive governance, federalism. The idea was to empower Nepal's incredibly diverse ethnic groups, push power out to the provinces.
Sounds good on paper, but the reality often diverges, as you said. What went wrong?
It's a real paradox, isn't it? Aiming for inclusion, but according to the critics, kind of ending up entrenching political dynasties.
How so?
Well, the structure itself seemed to favor this rotation. We've seen the same veteran leaders, KP Sharma Oli, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Sher Bahadur Doba, cycling through power since 2015.
Oli just got back in July 2024, right?
Exactly. And this constant merry-go-round, the same faces again and again, it just left ordinary Nepalists feeling deeply disillusioned, like they weren't being heard.
And this is where Gen Z comes storming onto the scene. We're talking about nearly half the population, roughly 13 to 28 years old.
Digital natives. Very tech-savvy.
Absolutely. They live on TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, and for them, it's not just memes and fun. It's vital. Sharing dreams, frustrations.
Same channel, really.
Yeah, and they're connected, vocal, but waiting for opportunities that just aren't materializing.
And beneath that digital life, there's this stark economic reality. Per capita income around $1,400 a year.
So low.
And youth unemployment, according to 2024 World Bank data, was a staggering 20.8%.
Wow. 1 in 5.
Yeah. Quality jobs, scarce. Education feels like a dead end for many. And the country leans heavily on remittances.
Money sent home from abroad.
$11 billion in 2024 alone. That's 26% of GDP from about 2.5 million Nepalists working overseas.
That props up families, sure, but it must highlight the lack of options at home for the youth.
Precisely. It screams lack of opportunity, a feeling of being left behind.
So you've got this deep economic frustration simmering, and then it smashes right into social media visibility. That's when things got explosive.
That's the tinder. Viral videos started doing the rounds. Politicians' kids, showing off luxury cars, fancy holidays abroad.
The Nepo baby phenomenon.
Exactly. Echoing global trends, but hitting really hard there. It wasn't just envy. It forced this question into everyone's mind. Why do they thrive while we scrape by, or have to leave the country entirely?
That contrast, the perceived unfairness, we're just waiting for a spark.
And that spark landed on September 4th, 2025. A sweeping government order.
Right. The Ali government, pretty much out of the blue, bans 26 social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, WhatsApp.
Pretty much their entire digital world.
Yeah. LinkedIn, Reddit, Signal, Snapchat, gone. The official reason.
A technicality. Failure to register with the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology by some deadline.
But nobody was buying that, were they? What was the widely perceived real motive?
It felt much deeper. Most people saw it as a pretty blatant attempt to muzzle the growing online anger about corruption scandals.
Which ones specifically were fueling this anger?
Well, there were several high-profile cases. land grabs involving powerful figures, the infamous Bhutanese refugee trafficking scandal, and then controversial appointments.
Like Arzu Ranaduba.
Exactly. The foreign minister, wife of the former PM Sher Bahadur Doba, appointed to parliament through proportional representation, basically, a party list seat.
So bypassing direct elections.
Right. And those seats are meant for marginalized groups. So appointing someone already so powerful, so connected, it felt like a total slap in the face. It poured fuel on that Nepo baby fire.
For a country with, what, 90% internet penetration? This ban must have felt like pulling the plug on everything.
A blackout on freedom, people called it. The impact was immediate. Students lost online classes, businesses cut off, families couldn't reach loved ones abroad.
Not just an inconvenience.
No, it severed lifelines, vital ones.
I read a quote from a 19-year-old protester, Binu KC. She said, "It's not just about scrolling, it's about our voices being silenced when we call out the lies."
That captures it perfectly. And that digital silence, it didn't last. It quickly turned into a physical roar.
So Nepal's Gen Z may be inspired by what they saw in Sri Lanka in 22, Bangladesh in 24?
Yeah, those youth-led uprisings, they mobilized incredibly fast, using whatever channels were left.
And through back channels, you mean?
Exactly. What's really striking is how decentralized it was. No formal leaders, really, just viral calls spreading through encrypted apps, word of mouth.
And by September 8th, just 4 days after the ban?
Thousands converged on Kathmandu. Medikar Mandala, the city's main protest spot, and outside the federal parliament in New Baneswar.
Can you paint a picture for us? What did it look like on the ground?
Vivid. Lots of students, many still in their school uniforms.
A powerful symbol.
Incredibly. Innocence, unity, carrying handmade signs, enough is enough, end corruption. Started peacefully, organized loosely by some NGOs like Hami Nepal. But the atmosphere shifted, tragically.
How did it turn?
The police response escalated fast. First tear gas, then water cannons, rubber bullets,
And then?
horrifically, live ammunition. In Kathmandu alone, at least 17 people were killed. 2 more died in Itahari, down in the southeast. Hospitals were swamped. Over 500 injured.
Including children in uniform.
Yes, many of them were young students, just devastating.
Heartbreaking to think children in uniform caught in that. What does that say about the response? We heard names. Ankit Bandari, 23.
A student, yes, reportedly shot while chanting for transparency. And Sulavraj Tresta, a civil engineering student, also killed near the protests.
And the government's justification for this?
Protecting constitutional institutions from, well, they call them infiltrators and anti-national elements.
But how do you justify that cost? Especially when it's your own citizens, your own kids.
It raises huge questions. Human Rights Watch immediately condemned it unnecessary lethal force. And they drew parallels to Nepal's history of unaccountable violence.
Like the Medhesh protests in 2015?
Exactly. Dozens killed then, no real accountability. It felt like a terrible cycle repeating itself.
So September 8th, 2025, Nepal's darkest night in recent memory.
Absolutely. Curfews imposed, families grieving. Social media flickered back on later that evening, but the damage was done. The blood had been shed.
And grief turned into?
Fury, unbridled fury.
So September 9th, what happened then?
People defied the curfews. Crowds swelled again. And the mood shifted further. Mobs formed, some perhaps opportunists, maybe not fully representing the original protesters' intent.
But they targeted symbols of the elite.
Yes. Singha Durbar, the main government complex, was set on fire. Protesters stormed the Supreme Court, even the Parliament building. The state's administrative heart was literally under siege.
And leaders' homes
Weren't spared. Sher Bahadur Duba's house was ransacked. There were reports, alleged reports, of sacks of cash found inside, thrown into the streets. A very symbolic rejection.
A rejection of perceived corruption.
Absolutely. Arzu Rana Duba's property was also hit. Pushpa Kamal Dahal's house reportedly burned. It was visceral, spreading outwards.
And then those bizarre reports of jailbreaks.
Yeah, in western districts like Konaski and Dang, over 900 inmates apparently freed as guards just fled the chaos. Kathmandu's international airport shut down completely.
Stranding thousands. Indian pilgrims too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
isolating the nation even further.
And amidst all this, the Prime Minister?
By 2 p.m. on September 9th, PM Oli resigned. He sent a letter to President Pudel citing the adverse situation, stepping down to allow a constitutional solution.
Had others already gone?
Yes, several ministers, like Home Minister Ramesh Lekak, had already resigned. They likely saw which way the wind was blowing.
Which led to?
A very rare move. The Nepal Army, under Chief Ashok Raj Sigdal, stepped in to take charge of security.
Not the police.
No, the army. Sigdal went on TV, urged dialogue. Come forward for talks. Let's prevent more loss. President Paudel also called for calm, stressing the constitutional right to peaceful protest.
A critical moment, shifting from police to army control, trying to de-escalate.
Definitely.
But now, as the smoke starts to clear, huge questions remain, burning in those ashes.
Absolutely critical questions. Who ordered the shooting of unarmed youth? Why did police, paid by taxpayers, turn weapons on children?
The National Human Rights Commission is demanding answers, accountability, citing international law.
And what about the youth's actual intent? We heard from Gen Z leaders like Supana Budothoki, a content creator,
What did she say?
distancing themselves from the vandalism, stressing it was about reform, not destruction. And Pabit Tandukar, that 22-year-old shot in the leg.
Yeah.
From his hospital bed, he said, "We just wanted jobs, justice, not this blood." It really underscores that the violence wasn't the core message.
So what were their core demands, beyond just ending the ban?
Systemic changes.
Yep.
Anti-corruption bodies with real power, real teeth. Youth quotas in governance so their voices are actually part of the system.
Makes sense.
Job creation linked to real education reform. And true inclusion for everyone, all ethnicities, all backgrounds.
Like that protester Durgana Dahal said, we pay taxes but see no roads, no schools. It's about basic accountability.
Exactly. Where is the money going? And all this against the backdrop of a very shaky economy.
Unemployment high, especially for youth.
Key sectors struggling.
Right. 12.6% overall unemployment, but double that for young people. Agriculture, tourism facing huge challenges. It feeds the hopelessness.
And does geopolitics play into this at all? The U.S. aid, China's Belt and Road?
It adds a layer of complexity for sure. The U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation's $500 million aid clashed a bit with Ali's pro-China Belt and Road stance. But, most experts I've seen, like Banaj Bosniat, they dismiss external meddling as the main cause. They call it spontaneous youth rage, organic, coming from within Nepal itself, long suppressed frustration just erupting. So Nepal's at this massive fork in the road now.
Absolutely. Critical juncture.
Right.
Constitutionally, President Paudel needs to invite the largest party to try and form a government.
Mm-hmm.
But with Parliament itself damaged,
New elections seem likely. A chance for a real reset.
it looms large, yes. And there's hope. The Army's restraint compared to past incidents, that's significant.
Mm-hmm.
And the international community is watching very closely. The UN, India, others pressing for accountability, peaceful resolution.
So the big question really is, can dialogue bridge this gap, this generational chasm?
Can they address these really deep grievances? If they can, maybe this births a stronger, more genuine democracy in Nepal.
But if they ignore these voices,
Ignoring the youth now,
mm,
that could just reignite the fires, plunge the country right back into chaos.
what an absolutely incredible sequence of events. Nepal's Gen Z, starting from a social media ban, ignites a movement that brings down a prime minister.
It's more than just unrest, isn't it? It's a powerful testament to this generation's determination. It laid bare systemic problems.
And reminded everyone that huge change can start small, even with a single silenced post.
Yeah, and this deep dive really reveals something crucial, I think. In our hyper-connected world, maybe the most volatile tinder isn't just economic hardship.
What is it then?
It's the audacity of elites flaunting privilege when a generation feels its only voice is digital. You silence that voice. You don't just spark a protest, you risk igniting an identity crisis.
So as a new dawn breaks over Kathmandu's scarred skyline, what's the lasting legacy going to be? Will Nepal's youth finally get the future they're demanding? Or will those promises remain unfulfilled, leaving them back in the shadows?
It's a question with resonance far beyond Nepal's borders.
Absolutely. It's a global call, really, to listen to the voices that are shaping our collective future, whether we're ready or not.